This is Halo 3 ODST. We're on Xbox Series X, jumping into this spin-off entry in the series that follows a group of ODST individuals, largely with you taking on the role of the Rook. So it's got an interesting squad of characters and a more somber and interesting type of narrative experience. So what you're doing is you're again diving into the roles of this, sort of smaller, less powerful character, and all these other characters too in this ODST. And they're kind of like regular soldiers, but they're shock troopers. They're a little bit more intense. And you're dropped into Mombasa, and you've got to basically, kind of assist with the situation there. And there's a sense of mystery as you're trying to discover what exactly has happened and what's going on and what your actual mission is all about. It's an interesting game that takes the concepts and the designs of Halo 3, because it was supposed to be just a DLC expansion, but it really became its own sort of thing. So we'll be showing off the campaign and then the Firefight mode, because that's really the core of what this package is. It came with Halo 3 multiplayer content, but there's not really a point in showing that as part of this, because we just have that in Halo 3. So on Series X, we're getting a 4K resolution at 120 FPS with HDR support. It looks absolutely fantastic. It plays very fluidly. It looks cool. I don't know, it's just really great. I mean, this is a really gorgeous game with some lovely music and a neat perspective, because it's sort of, I guess you could say, almost an open world type of thing. So when you're playing as the Rook, you're exploring this open sort of city area, and then you come down and get into finding these little, I guess you could say, lost objects, and then you go into a bit of a flashback or a showcase of what your team member was doing for that particular situation to happen. And I think that's kind of neat. There's a lot of little behind the scenes lore that sort of adds to this experience, which I think is really cool. If you can find like the audio logs, I actually really like that little side story. Quite sad, but also rather interesting too. And they just put together a really unique sort of world and a really good campaign. I think it's quite well done. And again, like a different sort of campaign within the Halo universe. I think it'll definitely surprise individuals. And it kind of sets up some characters that appear again later on, which is kind of interesting. Well, not necessarily closing all ties, it definitely does wrap things up in a pretty pleasing way, I'd say. And it's got like the key trademark elements of the Halo franchise, the driving segments on ground, on level foot. And it just kind of, it's really neat how it surprises you and changes things up quite a bit. And then on top of that, we've got the cool little engineer guys. They're fun, and they play into things as well. Well, at least the achievements, which is kind of neat. Oh, and yeah, you just kind of really have to watch things, because you're not like some super powered character. You're just like a regular soldier here, battling away and trying to assist with the situation that's happening. And I think it's really quite interesting, and again, fairly well done. You can also play it in co-op if you want online, 4 players. It's kind of exciting. Play with your friends, and there's the split screen option too. So yeah, it's just kind of a well done, interesting thing. And I know how I showed this off as, because this is part of the Master Chief Collection on Game Pass. It'll always be available there. When I showed off that version of the game, I really liked that one level with the Safari, but I wanted to show something a little bit different with this one, just so that you have a little bit more of a unique perspective on the characters in case you jump into both options. Really, that's what it's all about. But yeah, it's just kind of a cool campaign, interesting characters, neat moments, and it can be a little bit hardcore. There's difficulty options if you want that, and some mixes if you want, like score attack and time attack and things. It mixes things up. I think it should be a little bit surprising if you've never played it before, just in terms of the tone of the game and how it deals with certain characters and the battles that wage on. It's really quite interesting, and definitely helps fill out some of the lore a little bit in the series. It's doing something new, because you don't really ever get to see this kind of perspective in Halo games. I'd really like to see more smaller titles, I guess you could say, in the franchise. Would be really cool just to see this concept kind of expanded upon to a degree. Just these smaller little tales would be entertaining. And I mean, I don't think this one's actually that much smaller than other Halo games. It's got like a pretty good length to its story that's for sure. What are we getting shot from in the back, man? And I think with that, we're going to switch over to show off the firefight mode, so you can see that action, because it's great that they were able to include that in the game as well, because I didn't think it was something we would see again. So it's kind of nice that we're actually getting a complete version of what ODST brought to the table, because it was something, you know, I think that surprised and provided something pretty entertaining in the overall Halo lore. At least I think so. So this is the firefight mode. There's a number of different maps you can play, different difficulty options, and of course it's meant for 4-player PvE gameplay. You're supposed to work together to fight back against the invading forces, and this really was the original take on Firefight. I thought this map looked pretty cool, and yeah, it's just kind of really fun to play. I think there's like weird lag going on or something, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of neat, kind of action-packed, and again, it's interesting because you're not dealing with this from a Spartan perspective, so you are a little bit more vulnerable when you are fending off against the hordes of the Covenant. I should also mention that, you know, there's different types of modes that you can play. I'm doing the rocket one because I think that's a little bit more fun. So you could play this, you know, just custom-wise, or you can, wow, that guy did not die from that rocket shot, crazy. Or you can do matchmaking with others, and they kind of, you know, tuned it a little bit so it doesn't take ages and go on forever, but yeah, it's still kind of just as fun and entertaining as it was back in the day, and challenging. It really was quite a challenging, you know, game mode. I remember spending hours trying to get the achievements and unlocking them because they were such a pain, and I don't even know if I actually ended up getting all of them because it's hard to, you know, find players in that version of the game. I don't know if I'll ever actually finish that or not. But yeah, it's just kind of an interesting entry. It really is, just in terms of what it brought. Because I should also mention that with this release back in the day, because, you know, this is part of the MCC, it actually provided a full kind of Halo 3 multiplayer experience, along with some new maps and content, which was really great at the time. So you got this game, you got the Firefight, and the entirety of the Halo 3 multiplayer on like a standalone disc. It was pretty cool. And it also came with like a controller. I think I still have the ODST controller. Super, super cool. Yeah, it's over there. I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, it's a neat sort of option and way to many ways to play, and they added new weapons and stuff like that too, which is kind of exciting. So it mixes things up further. I hate these bugs so much. Bugs are just so annoying. But you get expansive levels, neat challenges, and many ways to play, whether you're battling just to destroy the enemy in infantry form, or you have to dig out these vehicles, which are kind of crazy. It's just, it's so neat to have like this little soldier coming down here and having to battle back against these endless odds, which is kind of overwhelming. I mean, playing by myself, it's kind of honestly pretty intense. You know, there's just a lot more enemies going on here. And I'm not too worried about death and stuff, but yeah, just kind of harder to thin the crowd, which is why I'm throwing on the rocket when these bugs are obnoxious to deal with. It's like totally anti the rockets that I love using, right? Ooh, the grunts are coming out here with the sticky grenades on the suey counts. Not good. Rampage, nice. Yeah, all the different levels are well set up. They kind of take parts of the campaign and sort of create nice segments where you're trying to survive on them. I think they're fairly well done. You know, presentation-wise, they definitely get the job done when it comes to being a place that you can battle and survive on, that's for sure. I remember even trying to like hide up here doing some of the harder difficulty stuff, playing with friends. Having a lot of fun, you know, that's what ODST was. It was a surprising little spin-off entry that actually had a lot going on within it. You need to die. And even this is kind of fun, because I love how everything sort of has, well, not everything, but this one and the other one have like that safari zoo type of look, and you don't really see that too much in the Halo games. It's a different sort of showcase, that's for sure. More of the bugs? It's a rocket fight, come on. Nobody likes the bugs. Oh, jeez. They're so annoying. Especially since I have to like pistol them down. I'm just gonna blow stuff up with the rocket launcher. Why do you do this to me? Why do you give me firefight action and make me blow up a few grunts and then pistol down these bugs? But, you know, there's lots of different ways to play it, you know, different modes. There's like a fiesta thing and, you know, regular traditional battles and stuff like that, you know. Lots of unique options for the firefight. And it's a fun mode, you know, if you want to play Halo from a PvE perspective, you know, playing online with others and working against something. I think it kind of really hits the mark in that regard. Because I know there are some players out there that don't necessarily want to do the competitive Halo action, and this should hit the mark for them as being something that, you know, hits that niche, I think, right? It should provide that to those players. I think it does. I think you should check it out if you wanted something a little more co-op focused out of the game. And I still do think that the campaign itself is well worth checking out. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of a different tone and style of play with a little bit of an open world aspect to it. Anyways, that is Halo 3 ODST. I hope you enjoyed the look at the action and the frantic gameplay that's present. This is a brief look at the 120 FPS option within the game, so that you can kind of see that. Again, YouTube cannot show 120 FPS, I cannot record at 120 FPS, so hopefully you can see some of the detailed advantage of this higher frame rate, which is incredible.
Help us secure this vehicle.
Roll over, Mike Foxtrot. Get yourself foxtrotted.
Thanks for the assist, Trooper. Get this warthog moving. Our CO needs us to clear this sector.
Affirmative.